comes to order. While we're waiting for some more members and Senate patrons, subcommittee will go at ease. All right, House Finance Sub 2 comes back to order. Clerk, open the roll. All right, we have a quorum. Clerk, close the roll. All right, so today we have a short docket, but we have some Senate bills that deserve a full hearing. We do have a Senate patron in the room. So at this moment, we're going to call up Senator Angela Williams-Graves. She has two before us. We can start with Senate Bill 181.
Yes, let's start with the good bill first.
You have the floor, Senator.
Thank you. All right. So Senate Bill 181 is a bill that is designed to help tackle the housing crisis. I think one of the two things that I remember from econ is supply and demand, right? So Virginia's housing challenge is fundamentally a supply issue, and demand continues to outpace available housing while many older commercial, retail, and religious buildings sit vacant in communities already served by infrastructure. Now, there is a substitute.
Move the substitute.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We have the substitute before us. You want council to explain the sub?
I'm going to go through it in my
Okay.
remarks, so it's fine.
You have the floor, Senator.
All right, thank you. SB 181 is a practical, locally controlled tool that helps to close the gap. It is a local option. The bill allows localities at their discretion to offer a real property tax exemption for the conversion of underutilized buildings to residential use. To qualify, a building must be at least 15 years old, ensuring this program focuses on adaptive reuse, not new construction. Affordability is a core requirement. At least 30% of the residential units must be reserved for or offered to households with per capita incomes at or below 80% of the locality's median per capita income, or the owner must enter into a binding affordable housing agreement. This ensures the housing created meets real community needs. The substitute strengthens accountability. If at any time the owner fails to maintain the required affordability threshold, the locality must recapture all or a portion of the tax exemption granted in the immediately preceding year, proportional to the shortfall. That means affordability is not just a promise, it is something to be maintained. Localities may also pair tax relief with practical incentives, such as reduced permit fees, streamlined approvals, or limited gross receipts tax adjustments, all tools that help make costly conversions financially viable. There are strong guardrails, exemptions are capped, time limited, based on verified conversion expenses, and cannot result in a total tax exemption. SB 181 is voluntary, locally driven, and a fiscally responsible measure. It increases supply, protects affordability, and builds in enforcement. And I respectfully ask that you pass the bill.
Thank you, Senator. So I will first thank you for the explanation of that substitute. That is basically a local option tool, fully permissible, and it does not incur any type of mandatory things on the locality. So I would like to open it up to the members of the committee. If you have any questions, please press your yellow request to speak button to get in the queue. All right, so I would like to open up to the room. Those who are in support of Senate Bill 181, please come forward. You have 1 minute.
Need less than that. Luke Pretty here on behalf of the Virginia Association of Housing and Community Development Officials. I'd like to thank the senator for bringing this legislation forward. This will help our localities, especially those that are entirely built out. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone in opposition to Senate Bill 181? Please come forward. I believe we have one person signed up in support online for Senate Bill. Are they there? All right, so there is no one currently online. So I open it back to members of the committee. Any questions?
Madam Chair, you all are so progressive that you have online testimony in your subcommittee rooms. It's a beautiful thing.
The House is a beautiful thing.
Proud alumni here, just saying.
Move to Delegate Carroll.
Madam Chair, just commenting on the bill.
Delegate Carroll.
Madam Chair, I am all for, first and foremost, I want to thank the patron for bringing the bill and coming up with innovative solutions and empowering our localities to work on behalf of the people. You are right, as a finance professional, supply and demand have to work in tandem, and we have to ensure that we increase supply to control demand and decrease prices. So I would just thank the patron for her innovative solutions to help solving some of the problems.
All right, thank you. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Yes, Madam Chair, I have a motion at an appropriate time.
Next, I have Uber Chair Watts.
I've been arguing myself out of not saying anything, but I also think it's an excellent bill. So please, but what I also have found myself increasingly, especially this year, is okay, pass on your wisdom, Vivian. And with this passing on of wisdom, as good a bill as it is, over all of my years, well before I was elected, again and again, we have lost affordable housing to speculators. And so I will also underscore that the substitute, while being discretionary to the localities as far as whether, as well explained by the senator, if they're not upholding it as it's being operated, if it is sold to a speculator, there is a mandatory 5-year pullback of what the tax advantage has been, which is what we have done with open space. So there's precedent for it. And again, I made that suggestion because I've so often seen our affordable housing disappear into speculation or I'll use the word gentrification.
Thank you, Uber Chair Watts. Before we entertain a motion, I'd like to give the patron last words.
I just want to say thank you to, I'm going to need the story behind Uber Chair at another moment in time, but I want to thank Uber Chair Watts for coming and explaining and talking me through this amendment and making sure that we were on the same page. And I appreciate the wisdom of looking to protect the localities, sometimes from themselves, but especially from bad actors. And so I definitely appreciate the extra time in talking it through. It was extremely helpful, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Senator. So we have Senate Bill 181 with substitute before us. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Thank you, and I too appreciate just the collaboration because there is so much that we benefit from one another, and so I'm grateful for that and grateful for your willingness to recognize not only that, but that we have virtual testimony. And so I have moved to report, Madam Chair.
With substitute. It has been moved and properly second to report Senate Bill 181 with substitute. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. The bill reports with substitute 9-0. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you.
And next you have...
Now for the fireworks. No pun intended.
So now we have before us Senate Bill 763. Is there amendments?
Not that I am aware of.
Madam Chairman, I believe there is an amendment that the council has that was requested by Tax Department that we add to the language.
Okay, Council, if you can tell us about those amendments that were requested by Tax.
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, this is an amendment that was requested by the Tax Department. It's essentially language that will just make it clear that the provisions of this bill will apply to sales also made to out-of-state distributors that later then ship those products into Virginia. This is a technical amendment that is also described in the fiscal impact statement attached to the bill.
All right, so I just wanted to remind members of the committee that Senate Bill 763 is like House Bill 919, which was before this committee before. So I would like to have a motion to move the amendment.
Move the amendment.
Second. It has been moved and properly second to move the amendment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so we have Senate Bill 763 with amendments before us, and Senator Williams-Graves, you have the floor.
Thank you. This bill, in my opinion, is short and sweet, and it basically holds manufacturers. It's another tool to hold manufacturers of firearms and ammunition accountable. 763, as amended, is a measured fiscal policy that aligns public safety priorities with responsible revenue planning. The bill establishes an 11% excise tax on firearms and ammunition manufacturers applied to gross receipts from the sale and distribution of firearms and ammunition in the Commonwealth. The tax is assessed at the manufacturer level, not on individual consumers, and it explicitly exempts sales to federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies, ensuring that public safety operations are not impacted by the policy. The bill has, in addition to the refinements from the amendments that were just reported out, its effective date is July 1, 2027, providing adequate time for implementation, compliance, and budget planning. It ensures predictability for the Department of Taxation and for affected manufacturers while allowing the Commonwealth to responsibly account for anticipated revenue. Second, it directs proceeds to the general fund while clearly stating the intent of the General Assembly is that revenue is used for gun violence prevention efforts and community safety initiatives across Virginia. This approach preserves legislative flexibility during the appropriations process while firmly establishing the policy purpose behind the revenue source. The bill does not regulate firearms. It does not restrict lawful ownership or impose requirements on retailers or consumers. It simply asks manufacturers whose products carry well-documented public safety costs to contribute to prevention and intervention efforts that benefit communities statewide. SB 763 follows Virginia's longstanding use of targeted excise taxes to address public impacts, promotes accountability, and support shared responsibility without raising broad-based taxes. And, the other piece to this bill is that it also allows us to track the number of firearms that are being sold in Virginia. Right now, there is, to my knowledge, no mechanism that does that. So we don't know if I go in the gun shop in Norfolk, and they have a pallet of firearms and ammunition, we have no way of being able to track that as a state. If I go to a gun show and I buy 3 firearms, there's no way to track how many firearms were sold at a gun show. And so this is also another measure for us to be able to track not who's buying them, but what's coming into the Commonwealth. And as a gun owner, firearm owner, I have no problem with this bill.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Senator Williams-Graves. Just like with House Bill 919, Tax did request that amendment for sequencing, to have that amendment before us. This House Bill 919, just want to remind members of the committee, was re-referred to appropriations, where appropriations recommended that it be carried over. And so I believe we're going to have continuity and alignment since Senate Bill 763 is in the same posture to carry this bill over to 2027. The committee operates on motion.
So moved.
It has been moved and properly seconded to carry Senate Bill 763 to 2027. Is that a voice vote? Yes. All in favor say aye. Aye. All right. Nays have the same option. So Senator Williams-Graves, Senate Bill 763 has been carried to 2027. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right, I think I smell peanuts in the room. We have Senator Jordan with Senate Bill 302. You have the floor, Senator.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee. I have before you Senate Bill 302, which is the sunset extension on the peanut excise tax. So what this is, it's a producer-funded program that's unanimously supported by the peanut industry. Many years back, the history is that we were woefully underperforming the number of acres harvested in Virginia peanuts. And so this was a request of the farmers in the peanut industry and the Growers Association to be able to make sure that they can adequately fund marketing, research, and education, and the beautiful packs of peanuts that you have maybe in front of you in the dais, to make sure we can enhance and return our acreage to where it should be. Since the program was established, we've seen continual increases in the number of acreage. And when I carried this bill 5 years ago when I was in the House for the old sunset, we did reduce the per ton weightage from 30 to 25 cents because it was working. So with that, I take any questions from the subcommittee.
All right, thank you, Senator. So just wanted to reiterate to members of the committee, this is an industry-supported assessment where the revenues are generated from peanut producers and used solely for research and promotion benefiting the same sector. And there is no general fund impact, I believe, so I will open up for questions from members of the committee. Press your yellow request to speak button to get in the queue. There are no questions from members of the committee. I will open up to the room. Is anyone who is in support of this bill, please come forward. You have 1 minute each. Thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the subcommittee, Trey Davis with the Virginia Agribusiness Council. On behalf of the peanut growers, thank you to Senator Jordan for carrying. We support the legislation, not a new tax. The growers need this. It goes to research and promotion. I do know the peanut growers, I believe, are on the line and can talk about exactly where these dollars go. So thank you for the support.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Jake Tabor, Virginia Farm Bureau. We also support, we have a peanut advisory committee at Farm Bureau, and they're supportive of the measure. As the senator said, this program has been in existence since 2010, and our peanut acreage across the state, we grow about 33,000 acres of peanuts, and just last year we set a state record for yield in peanuts at almost 5,000 pounds per acre. So the peanut industry is in a good spot, and we'd appreciate moving this bill forward. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So I also like to open up for anyone who is in opposition to Senate Bill 302. We do have testimony online from Ms. Caitlin Joyner from the Virginia Peanut Growers Association. Ms. Joyner, you have the floor.
Hi, yes, thanks so much for allowing me to give testimony. But like Trey and Jake and Senator Jordan said, this just allows our Peanut Growers Association to engage in marketing and research and educational opportunities to help increase awareness about Virginia peanuts, but also increase demand and get more people eating more Virginia peanuts. We've got a lot of great history. We have arguably the best growers in the nation. So this allows us to fund those opportunities, fund that research. That's very, very important to the peanut industry. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. But we are obviously in support of this, and we hope you'll support it as well.
Thank you so much. Send more peanuts. Thank you. So, so I would like to open it back up to the members of the committee. Delegate Walker.
So, Madam Chair, I'm wrestling here with my conscience on whether or not this is a conflict of interest here, since we have been provided with these golden nuggets.
There's no monetary value, Madam Chair.
Having grown up in South Georgia, where this is the cash crop, I'm very familiar with them. Do we have to report something like this on our ethics committee? A report?
I don't
Madam
think so.
Chair, Ms. Brewer is a wonderful representative, even though she's on the other side of the aisle, building. But I would move that we pass this legislation for her.
But first, we want to hear with Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was born in Georgia, but comparing Virginia peanuts to Georgia peanuts is a little bit offensive. Virginia peanuts are far superior. With that out.
Is that a debatable subject, Madam Chair?
Debatable. So we have before us for Senate Bill 302, a motion to report, properly seconded. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. Senate Bill 302 reports by a vote of 10-0. Thank you, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And if anyone wants any more peanuts, 5th floor, 521.
We'll be by your office. All right, last but not least, we have Senator Perry with Senate Bill 788. You have the floor, Senator.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. And I just want to apologize first to the committee. I had spoken with with Delegate Krizak about this bill, and he had thought it was going over to his ABC subcommittee. And I know it was initially here, but I just want to make sure that the committee did want to hear the bill. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, this is a bill that was initially brought to me by a constituent in my district, but the issue is actually one that the Winery Council has raised for me is actually happening all over the Commonwealth of Virginia, 2 wineries everywhere. I wasn't aware of the process, so I'll just walk through it real briefly, but if you own a winery in the Commonwealth of Virginia, you are required every single month to essentially go through your winery and figure out how many milliliters of wine you sold. And then you use a paper form and you fill out how much you sold. And then there's no online system for reporting it. And so you have to mail it in to ABC. So 12 times a year, you have to do your taxes. That obviously places a large burden on the wineries, but it's actually not what I'm here trying to fix today. What happened to my constituent is at some point during the last administration, there was some confusion, about it was being due on the 15th of the month. It had to be sent through the mail. That was the only way you could do it, unless you drove down, I think, to Mechanicsville personally and hand delivered it. Otherwise, I had to go through the mail. And there was some confusion initially over whenever it's due on the 15th, does that mean I have to have it postmarked by the 15th? Does that mean it has to arrive by the 15th? And so there was some back and forth where they were imposing penalties on these wineries every month, depending on who was interpreting whether it had to arrive on the 15th, whether it had to be mailed on the 15th, some discrepancy there. The wineries were by and large just paying the penalties. I'm not sure that's the best system, but that's what was happening. The penalties were a 5% penalty on whatever the taxes were that month, which would be consistent with what the IRS does if you are late paying your taxes. At some point during the last administration, that penalty jumped up to a flat $1,000 penalty. So a significant increase in penalties. And so what happened to my client, and again, the Winery Council is here to talk about it. It's not my client, I'm sorry, my constituent. The Winery Council can say it wasn't just my constituent, this is an ongoing problem. And ABC has acknowledged that they were, I think their words were heavy-handed, have been heavy-handed. But what they started doing is to make up for people, being late in paying. My constituent was 2 days late in paying. He got a phone call about 2 months later, because they do it quarterly, saying, hey, you were late by 2 days. We got it on the 17th, not the 15th of the month. So your $782 monthly tax bill, you now either can pay us $1,000 or you can have your license suspended for 10 days. Those are your choices. And he has relayed to me that if his license were suspended for 10 days, he could not sell any wine for 10 days. That would cost him about $25,000. In the Senate committee, I will say there was an individual on the committee who said that was a little bit like whenever his dad told him he can go pick his own switch when he was a child. And I feel a little bit the same way about it. It seems incredibly unfair. It seems incredibly like a very significant penalty for something that is a very small violation, especially for someone who has to do it every single month. And so what this bill does is really 2 things. I will say ABC is in the process of creating an online system, and we are grateful for that. I think that makes it easier for everyone. It makes it easier for small businesses, of which most wineries in the Commonwealth are small businesses. And so they are in the process of doing this, so that this bill doesn't require them to do that. It does put a deadline on them having done it, just to encourage them to actually get it done, to relieve some of the stress of the system. The other thing it says is, I do want to be fair. They do have an appeals process. The ABC does have an appeals process. My client tried to engage in that appeals process. As I'm sure Madam Chair is aware, he often people then will have to go hire attorneys to do that. He tried to go through the appeals process. He first got a mediation letter, and he went to the judge and said, hey, I'd love to mediate. I understand that's an option. And they said, well, you have to call this attorney if you want to mediate. And when he called that attorney, she said, I've been in the job 3 months. No one mediates. You have to pay the $1,000 fine. So I would just suggest to the members of this committee, there is really no process. And to be honest, the appeals process is if there was an error. There wasn't an error. He was, in fact, 2 days late. The question is really, is the penalty fair? Is it just? Is that fair to people to be 2 days late because of the mail? And for him, it wasn't the mail, to be fair. He had been on vacation, so he was late in getting his paperwork in. But is that really fair and right? So this takes it back to the 5%, which again is in line with the federal government. There does continue to be a penalty. It just seems to be more in proportion to what the nature of the offense. I will say
in Senate Finance, I think there was some confusion. If the committee looks at lines 86 through 92, it says that the provisions of this first enactment shall become effective on July 1, 2027. I would actually ask that line, I think, can be stricken out. What it was supposed to happen is that line 87, ABC had come to me and asked if that could be amended not from November 1, 2027 to January 1, 2020. I'm sorry, January 1, 2027. No, 2027, yes, what year are we in? Yes, January 1, 2027, to give them a little bit more, no, that doesn't make sense. January 1, 2027? Give them a little bit more time to finish up their process. And I think that is fair. I want to make sure that they have enough time to get it done, but it doesn't extend it exponentially. And so when Senate Finance said, hey, are you good with the, hey, we're going to change this date, the date, I think there was some confusion about what that date was that was getting changed. But I'm happy to take questions from members of the committee. And again, Winery Council is here if you have questions for her.
Okay, thank you so much, Senator. So I just wanted to clarify that this bill modernizes the online payment processing and it adjusts the penalties language for clarity. It does not eliminate any enforcement authority, so ABC still retains the license suspension and revocation power. So I'm going to open it up to members of the committee. I see the queue is filling up, so I will take Delegate Garrett first.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple of, very quickly by way of comment and then a question. I had a bill that there was a requirement that something be reported via fax, and we couldn't comply with the law at my sheriff's office because they no longer had a fax machine. And so thank you. I'm curious, the winery, the constituent that brought this to you, and if there's been other wineries, but who was it that brought this to you? What was the winery?
The winery that brought it for me, he came and testified in the Senate committee. It's Slater Winery. It's down in Fauquier County. But I understand what is happening, and maybe the reason people haven't heard is that people are just paying the $1,000. They don't really, what else are they supposed to do? Hire an attorney and go through an appeals process that does them, no good.
What's
Delegate Garrett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I apologize. I get energetic. Slater Winery?
Madam Chair, Delegate Garrett, yes, I believe that's right.
All right, thank you. I was just curious because I used to represent Fauquier County a long time ago. So
Thank you, Delegate
thank you, Madam
Garrett.
Chair.
Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I was going to ask just for clarification. So we're moving away from the 1,000 to the 5%, and that would only be effective on January 1, 2027. Is that accurate?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, I think that would only be accurate on January 2027 if we leave in line 86, which of course doesn't do anyone much good, right? Because obviously it would otherwise come into effect on July 1, 2026, as opposed to, and again, I think that was just a mistake in amending the date as it relates to the online system have to be done, as opposed to changing the whole bill where people have to continue to pay these fees until, for an additional, 9-10 months, if that makes sense.
All right, Delegate Cole.
So, Madam Chair, question.
Delegate Cole.
And this might be a question for legal. Would we need to move an amendment to make sure that the date is correct in the bill?
Council.
Yes, Delegate Cole, members of the subcommittee. Currently, line 86 does say that the provisions of the first enactment will become effective July 1st, 2027. If we want to change that to January 1st, 2027, we will need to amend that language.
Is that a friendly amendment that you're going to agree with? If anybody wants to add a comment to that.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I think the request would be to actually strike all of line 86, that the provisions of the first enactment of this act shall become effective on July 1, 2027, because the second line 87, starts that by November 1, 2027. That's the part about the online electronic system. And so I think if you strike out line 86, and council can certainly correct me if I'm wrong, I think that just means that the provisions of the bill would come into effect if the committee were to pass it out, if the governor were to sign it, come into effect on July 1, which is, I think, the intention of the bill is to get people the relief as quickly as we reasonably can. And so I think if you strike out line 86, then that will allow the bill to go into effect in July 1 should the committee pass it out and the governor end up signing it. Lines 87 is where we pick up the part about when the deadline is for the online system to be completed. And I think that
I would request, if the committee were, if it were the will of the committee, that it says that by November 1, 2027, to amend that date. So I think it would be probably two separate amendments to amend the November 1, 2027 date to January 1, 2027.
Delegate Cole, follow up.
So I move the amendment to strike and change the date from November 1, 2026 to January 1, 2027.
Is there a second? Second. So we have an amendment for Senate Bill 788. Council, would you like to?
Yeah, sorry, a quick question, just to make sure, we want that to be November 1st, 27, or 26?
No.
January.
Yes, you have the floor.
I'm Ann Lee Kerr with Virginia Wineries Association. What we believe it was supposed to say when it came out of Senate Finance was, if you look at line 86, the first amendment would be deleting the delayed effective date on line 86. And then on line 87, change November 1, 2027 to January 1, 2027, which is what Senator Perry's original bill had a earlier date. ABC asked to change it to January 1, 2027. So we want to stick with the agreement that we made on the Senate side to be a good steward of what they asked.
All right, Council, do you have those amendments? All right, so all in favor of those amendments? It has been moved and properly second. So all in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, so we have the amended version of Senate Bill 788. Delegate Franklin.
Madam Chair, thank you so much. Just a question to the patron.
Delegate Franklin.
We do have these peanuts from the former patron of another bill. Do you have any wine coolers or bottles?
Delegate Franklin.
just wanted to make sure. But Madam Chair, in all seriousness, I do feel that this is important to our wineries and wholesalers here in the Commonwealth. Very important part of our economy. And so at the appropriate time, I'm happy to make a motion.
All right, so before I do that, if any members in the audience who are, or anyone is in support, please come forward. You have 1 minute.
I'm Ann Lee Kerr with Virginia Wineries Association. We're very supportive of the bill. To answer Delegate Garrett's question, we had a member of our Wineries Association who owed no money, who only had a report to give because they had not started selling any product yet, was late, was in a similar situation, was late because they missed the deadline, but they had to pay $1,000 for no money owed. So this is something that's hitting everyone. We had another winery, went to the post office, owns 2 wineries, 2 envelopes, same day, one postmarked, one not. He just paid the fine because he didn't want to fool with it. So this is something that we need to sort of fix over at ABC and get them back on the previous 5%.
All right, is anyone in the audience in opposition to Senate Bill 788 as amended? Is anyone online? All right, so there's no one online. Delegate Keys-Gamarra.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Given the testimony we just heard, I don't know if the patron would like to address the issue. Is that typical for someone for a report to be due but no money's due, and then if you just miss the deadline, you have to pay a fine?
Madam Chair, Delegate Keys-Gamarra, I think that's right. I think the language of the bill says, like, you have to the report has to be completed, and then whatever your monies are that were due for that individual, because there were no monies due, he was still responsible for the report coming in, and so that still would be encapsulated in the bill. And so I guess under this provision, if his paperwork was late, but there was no money due, I guess there would not be a fine anymore for the paperwork. But of course, if he were to actually sell and operate and sell wine, then he would of course be responsible for filling out that form and providing that every month. So if he were making income.
Okay. Madam Chair, I just wanted to make sure.
Thank you so much. So before I entertain a motion, I'd like to give the patron one last words.
No, I just want to thank the members of the committee for their time, and thank you for the comments, Delegate Franklin, of the support of small businesses and wineries in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I really appreciate that.
Great. So now we have before us Senate Bill 788 as amended. Committee operates on motion.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded to report Senate Bill 788 as amended. Clerk, open the roll. All right, clerk, close the roll. All right, Senate Bill 788 as amended. Does clerk need to destroy the roll and go back? Did I see the amendment on that report? We're going to strike that vote and go back again. Senate Bill 788 as amended. Clerk, open the roll. Members, cast your ballot. All right, clerk, close the roll. That reports and vote 9-0. Thank you, Senator Perry.
Thank you, members of the committee.
That concludes our docket. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. All right, committee is now adjourned.